What up? It's your boy T-Bear here. The reaction today is a makeup for Wrestle Wednesday, and this first makeup is a makeup. Originally intended to do a 2-segment video, and this is the first segment. End of the first segment video was his post Night of Champion videos. As this Night of Champion, we awarded our new World Heavyweight Champion, and that was Seth freaking Rollins. Got finished doing the top 10 greatest World Heavyweight Championship reigns, hoping something I hope Seth Rollins have. Now we look at something that hopefully Seth Rollins do not have, and that is the top 10 worst WWE World Heavyweight Championship reigns of all ever. So without further ado, let's see what reigns was so bad. Let's get it.
Now I will say right off the bat that I love the big gold belt. It may come from a place of nostalgia, as this title was a big deal when I started watching wrestling, but when I think of the World Heavyweight Championship, I smile. Well, that is until I had to write this list, because I did not realize just how lousy so many of the title reigns in the big gold belt's big gold lineage were. Constant title changes after a month or two, Triple H on top. It's a bad time. But before WWE brings back the big gold belt with its new big gold haircut, we must take a look at the crap. Hopefully they do it right this time. We've looked at the best, now here are the worst. I'm Tempest, hailing from partsFUNknown, and these are the 10 worst WWE World Heavyweight Championship reigns ever. But before we get on with this list, make sure, of course, that you like this video, subscribe, and enable notifications to always on so you never miss a list just like it. And make sure you check out last week's list, where we looked at the best reigns that the World Heavyweight Championship ever had to offer. Number 10, Randy Orton's first reign. What is the biggest thing you've ever done out of spite? If your answer is anything less petty than crowning a new World Heavyweight Champion before they were ready for the sole purpose of erasing the guy you're mad at from the history books, then congratulations, you're not as spiteful as Vince McMahon. In 2004, who should leave WWE but Brock Lesnar, taking the record of youngest world champion with him. Then, just as WWE would be one to do every other time someone they didn't like held a record in their company, AJ Lee and Demolition Say Hello, they made sure to wipe them from the record books post-haste. Young 24-year-old Randy Orton would take the mantle of youngest world champion, beating Chris Benoit at SummerSlam 2004, only to turn around and have his Evolution pals kick him out of the group, with Triple H winning the title just 4 weeks later. It wasn't about Orton, who was still a few years away from being the main event star he would become. It was about erasing history. So, I guess well done.
And all because they wanted Triple H to have his reign of terror.
Number 9, Alberto Del Rio's first reign. What is worse than a prick being pushed as a babyface? Of course, we may not have known just how much of a prick Alberto Del Rio was.
This is on his run as a babyface. Yeah, that's right. He did one day as a babyface first, because I think the belt he won before that was a World Championship. Oh man, the WWE Championship he won.
Was at the time of his first reign as World Heavyweight Champion, but that little known fact didn't make this run any better. Alberto was pretty consistently a flop as a headliner in WWE, sporting 2 dud WWE Championship reigns in 2011 and then 2 dud World Heavyweight Championship reigns in 2013. He had a lot of things working against him, having a feud with The Big Show that centered around the two having a pair of last man standing matches, and then building to a regular wrestling match, Ricardo Rodriguez having a bucket as his gimmick. Nothing says world.
Oh yeah, and that damn match was so terrible. So many botches at that. Oh man. First him missing the kick, and then he with Big Show holding the damn bucket. Oh yeah.
Champion quite like a bucket. He then had the most piss break of all WrestleMania piss break.
The feud with him and Jack Swagger, Real American and Jack Swagger, We the People.
Title matches with Jack Swagger at WrestleMania 29, and that was curtains for this cursed reign. By 2013, this title was a shell of its former self, but this particularly unlikable babyface was hardly one to pull it from the mud. Number 8, Rey Mysterio's first reign.
They did that man dirt. They made that man dirt McGirt with that.
Just in case some of our younger viewers thought that WWE pulling the rug out from under their new champions was a recent development, save for the likes of Kofi Kingston or Big E or Seth Rollins, here we present the entirely depressing 2006 World Heavyweight Championship reign of Rey Mysterio. Emphasis on the heavyweight. And speaking of heavyweights, immediately following Rey's monumental win in honor of Eddie Guerrero at WrestleMania 22, which keeps this reign from ranking any higher on this list by itself, Rey was crushed beneath the sheer weight of Mark Henry and the Great Khali, losing to both of them clean on SmackDown en route to beating JBL at Judgment Day. His only clean win on pay-per-view as champion. Yeah, the big takeaway from Rey's time holding the big gold belt was that he really didn't feel like a champion. He lost A lot. I mean, he beat Gregory Helms, the man with the worst height.
Doing him dirty, like
in Toronto,
like how like almost like they was almost about to do with Bianca Belair, and kind of Big E in a way, like have him lose most of his matches while the champion. Like they was doing him dirty, man, for real.
But if that is the highlight of your world title reign, then that probably means it was a pretty lousy title reign. Number 7, Christian's first reign. I've been able to avoid talking about this in my first 2 years of list making, but now here we are. We have reached the moment that broke me as a wrestling fan. Everyone remembers their first time being hurt by wrestling. This was mine. Being a little Toronto-born Edge and Christian fan like I am, seeing Edge retire in 2011 legitimately brought a tear to my eye, just as seeing Christian capture his first ever World Heavyweight Championship and embrace Edge.
They didn't do much with it.
Christian on top was fresh, a new star getting a run with the title, a great worker in every aspect of the game, complete with a feel-good moment.
And too, like, pretty much capitalize off the greatness he did in TNA Impact Wrestling, though. Like,
to crown a new babyface champion. And then he got pinned clean to lose the title just days later by Randy Orton on SmackDown.
Oh, yeah! Well, I had to get reminded about that. Yeah! Why?
Now, I would be a fool to...
The what? I hate that motherfucker Joe Budden, but... yeah.
Not point out that this summer-long rivalry between Christian and Orton was fantastic, and that may be ends justifying the means for some, but at the time there was nothing more frustrating than hoping for some new stars to be made after WrestleMania, only to once again find both world titles around the waists of John Cena and Randy Orton. And I mean in terms of reigns, who could possibly argue in favor of Christian's first reign? It was 2 days! 5 if you want to keep in time with WWE canon, but the only canon I want to hear about is the one I want to shoot this title reign out of. Number 6, Dolph Ziggler's second reign. A few of these reigns can really be chalked up to missed potential. In the case of Dolph Ziggler, he had the moment of all crowning moments when he cashed in Money in the Bank the day after WrestleMania 29 to win the World Heavyweight Championship. But an excellent crowning moment does not make a good reign. This was a title reign that had felt like a very long time coming. Finally, Ziggler's moment after having toiled away in the mid-card for years, slowly climbing up the card to the point that he could defeat John Cena in the main event of TLC 2012 before finally becoming champion. And then he got a concussion. One little bump on the noggin, and all that momentum was out the window, and Dolph dropped the title back to Alberto Del Rio in his first title defense.
Yep, and it culminated into it culminated into a questionable double turn. But not so questionably because, like I said, they said Alberto Del Rio was a prick, though, so I guess it was made.
This was a pretty effective double turn, with Del Rio focusing his attacks on Ziggler's head, and could have paid off with Ziggler regaining his title at SummerSlam, this time as a true blue babyface, but no, this was just the end of it all. Vince reportedly only gave Dolph his moment because that was the right thing to do on that night, but had no intention of actually pushing him, which may seem like the logical next step towards creating a new top.
A lot of folks saying he's been getting dirty for pushes as well too.
Star, but excuse me when I say that is a tale as old as time. Number 5. Kane. A lot of people were very happy to see Kane get a real run as WWE World Champion in 2010. It had been 12 years since he last won a World Championship, and even then, he was only WWE Champion for 1 day. Not much of a reign. But having lived through this 154-day Blight on SmackDown ass reign, I don't know that I wouldn't prefer the 1-day reign. Kane is a real nostalgic character for some, but I will be damned if he wasn't routinely involved in the worst storyline of the year for WWE, and there were a few candidates here with this reign. His 2010 rivalry with The Undertaker once again proved that these two were incapable of having a good match together, putting on 3 straight pay-per-view stinkers until Kane turned his attention to Edge, the babyface who tormented Kane, the heel, by torturing Paul Bearer. How did he torture the man on a PG show, you ask? Well, he threw...
Say that. No, hold on. Run that back. Run that back. Run that back. What did he say?
Together, putting on 3 straight pay-per-view stinkers until Kane turned his attention to Edge, the babyface who tormented Kane, the heel, by torturing Paul Bearer. How did he torture the man on a PG show, you ask? Well, he threw dodgeballs at him.
Oh, yeah, I remember this, but I thought it was all the way around. I thought I was confused. I'm a little confused. Oh, no. He is right. He's right. This is when he returned. This is when Edge was face. Yeah, because he returned from injury or something. Yeah. Edge was the babyface. I was thought about that. Yeah, Edge was the babyface. I remember. Yeah, this this is like his the last run before he retired. Yeah, this is before he turned back heel, because this is when he was babyface, and I forgot what made him babyface. Yeah, I forgot what made him babyface, and then he turned back. Then he turned heel. Then he turned back babyface again against the computer. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I forgot what made him babyface. I think he came back from injury or something at one point. So yeah.
Push him to his death? Well, I guess that last one really wasn't PG, now was it? All in all, this reign was a drag upon the main event scene on SmackDown in 2010, and good for Kane for getting a thank you world title.
Yeah, I was thinking about like, wait a minute, why is he the base? Oh, I'm thinking it's around time when the whole thing with him and Lita thing. No, this is when Edge came back as a babyface. Yeah.
But goddamn if we weren't sick of it by the end. Number 4, Triple H's second reign. In last week's list, we spoke about how for the first 3 years of the Big Gold Belt's Big Gold life, Triple H had full custody over it, weekends and holidays too. While Reign 3 was actually quite good and significant, and Reigns 1, 4, and 5 were sort of middle of the pack and not long enough to become all that offensive, this reign.
This is the Reign Terry. Oh my god. Ooh.
This reign right here is what made the internet hate Triple H with a fury. Winning the title at Armageddon 2002, Triple H started his year of running through every WCW star he could find and doing so in horrible fashion. He started with the worst in-ring rivalry of the year with Scott Steiner, and then moved on to the horribly racist and impossibly tone-deaf NXT feud that saw Triple H disrespect Booker with the longest pause between pedigree and actual pinfall in history at WrestleMania 19, before turning his attention to Kevin Nash and a pair of terrible pay-per-view matches at Judgment Day and Bad Blood, and then who should step up to the plate but Bill Goldberg. Goldberg could have at least ensured that this godforsaken title reign ended when it was supposed to, but nope! Triple H balls that one up too, beating Goldberg at SummerSlam when he had no business to, and may I also remind you that this was the fat-faced, shaven, biker trunks Triple H era. Minus 5 stars just for that. Number 3.
Oh, you forgot to add again, it's best that nobody else mentioned about that though, and that's the Katie Vick situation. We won't leave it alone.
All the ones under 20 minutes. This would have been a difficult list to write if half of the entries were just me talking about how the entry in question was longer than the title reign I was actually talking about. I can only make that joke once, and there are 4 of these reigns. WWE loves to do the old switcheroo and crown 2 new champions in one night with the same belt. A new way to say, haha, now you have the shortest title reign of all time. They did it with Jeff Hardy and Big Show with Money in the Bank, and they also did it with poor Dolph Ziggler, who just can't stay away from this list. Hell, he has said himself that he doesn't even count this as a title reign, and I can't imagine why. Perhaps when he fantasized about his big crowning moment, it didn't look like Vicky Guerrero stripping Edge of the title for using his totally normal finisher and awarding the title to Ziggler, only to lose it back to Edge less than 10 minutes later. That one was without a doubt the most damaging,
that's what
and
it was,
would hold a spot near the top of this list had it been on its own. Also, Randy Orton's final reign with the belt also only lasted a few minutes, as the title was unified with the WWE Championship at the end of TLC 2013, which wouldn't be on this list, but for the sake of this entry, I must cover my bases. Number 2, Jack Swagger. Some of the reigns on this list were just poor, and then we moved on with our big gold lives. But others, like the remaining ones here, are the reigns that
this is when it was like looking like almost like a damn second fiddle belt, almost like a second belt to closely a mid we call it the mid card belt almost.
Really brought this big gold belt down to its big gold depths. Jack Swagger was always a bizarre choice to be Mr. Money in the Bank in 2010. Usually you kind of see big things for the lads chosen: Edge, Rob Van Dam, Mr. Kennedy. There was some thought put in. There was no thought put into World Heavyweight Champion Jack Swagger. Swagger had only won just one singles match on TV in 2010 before winning Money in the Bank, and then just days later on SmackDown, he was the World Heavyweight Champion. Look at his pure excitement. Ooh, I haven't seen someone that excited since the last time I had to write a list about Roddy Piper's blackface. Jack Swagger simply isn't and wasn't a top guy. He was boring, he was a bad promo, and he was somehow huge but also not intimidating. Man. And it must be said that the most over period of his career came when he was cosplaying as a man from Fox News, and I'm just going to leave that one alone.
That was because he was over with the heels with that, and he came over with the babyface with that when we went against Rusev.
This reign was actively damaging to the World Heavyweight Championship that, at this point, was still on relatively equal footing with the WWE Championship. But after this, it just sort of wasn't. And number 1, the Great Khali.
Somebody who should never, ever touch a goddamn championship belt ever. Not even the mid-card championship belt. Like, no. No. They did it just cause. You thought Jinder Mahal reign as WWE championship was ridiculous. This was the first one.
Me running if this does not get nearly enough hate for being maybe the worst WWE world title reign of all time. Move over Diesel, Jinder Mahal, this was the real
Yeah, so tough, but damn, why you gotta dog Kevin Diesel for that?
Khali made Kevin Nash look like he had the agility of a cruiserweight and made Jinder look like he had the versatility of AJ Styles.
Yeah.
The only points that go in favor of those reigns being worse than this one were that they were too long. This one was but a mere 61 days during the summer of 2007, maybe the worst time period to ever be a WWE.
Now these are impossible. They gave him some bad championship. They gave him some subpar matchups. That's why, or reason, because he's on the time in this, and he was a victim of the dark times of the new generation era. You know, I'm a big fan of it. It was around dirty dark times at times too. So yeah, so find somebody, a good competitor to go against him that was a heel at the time, was not the best at the moment, because most of the top guys were baby faces at the time. So yeah,
WWE fans,
including him.
This reign was certainly not going to lift anyone's spirits. Match after match of just lumbering around, bopping people on the head, boots in the corner. My heart goes out to Batista for being linked to this reign, having to have horrible matches at Great American Bash and SummerSlam, with that SummerSlam match remaining maybe the worst big gold title match ever, before finally wresting the title from Khali's massive hands at Unforgiven, only to then turn around and have to have a Punjabi prison match with the Giant at No Mercy. That match doesn't play into this reign, of course, but it only further illustrated why the Great Khali should have been kept 7+ feet away from the big gold belt at all times. And that's our list. Make sure, of course, that you like this video, subscribe.
Man, yeah, well, I'm agree with that though. Oh my god. Other than that, let's pray that Seth don't fall to this one and falls to the first one with the 10 greatest championship matches as well too, man. I believe Seth can do it. Just the only thing about it, how WWE treat babyface champions as well too. We got dickheads in these groups already tired, not liking him because he's pandering too much according to them. Well, me, he's telling the fucking truth. But you know how folks are not mean. And then I was saying that he's there, and folks like, what, he's at the show. Oh, this is why part-time champion are better. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, really? I don't know why people feel like championships are better if they not there. Like, I never get that bullshit. But other than that, if you like my reaction, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's your boy T-Bear signing off. One love.